The maintenance bay of the Celestial Vanguard hummed with the usual cacophony of starship repairs. Arya wiped grease from her forehead, leaving a dark smear across her pale skin as she stared at the disabled shuttle's fusion coupling. 3 hours. 3 hours she'd been wrestling with this seemingly simple repair, and the molecular welder refused to bond the cracked plasma conduit properly. Standard protocol says you need a Type 7 containment field for this, murmured Chief Engineer Valcor, his 6 eyes blinking in sequential disapproval. The Xanthari was a stickler for regulations, which made him excellent at his job but absolutely infuriating during emergencies. Standard protocol assumes we have a Type 7 generator available, Arya shot back, gesturing at their depleted equipment roster on the nearby display. We don't. The last one burned out during the Sigma Nebula incident. The fleet had been running on fumes for weeks now, ever since the unexpected confrontation with the Ravager horde near the outer rim. Resources were stretched thin, tempers thinner, and every ship was carrying battle damage that needed attention yesterday. A soft chittering sound caught Arya's attention. She turned to find 2 small forms creeping into the maintenance bay, Threx and his sibling, Kessa. The young Vorkai were barely past their second molting season, their obsidian scales still showing the iridescent sheen of youth. Their species was apex predators on their homeworld, evolved hunters with reflexes that put most galactic species to shame. But these two? They were just curious cubs who'd developed an unfortunate habit of sneaking into restricted areas. Threx, Kessa, you can't be in here, Arya said, though her tone lacked any real sternness. The cubs had grown on her during the long months of deployment. Their parent, Commander Shrax, led the fleet's strike wing and often worked late shifts, leaving the younglings with too much unsupervised time. Threx's amber eyes fixed on the exposed shuttle components with unnerving intensity. He approached slowly, his movements carrying that characteristic Vorkai grace even at his young age. His smaller head tilted, studying the problem from an angle that struck Arya as oddly methodical for a child. The metal is angry, Threx said in his clicking, hissing voice. The translator matrix rendered it into standard galactic common. It fights itself, Arya blinked. Out of the mouths of babes, as her grandmother used to say. The cub was right. The molecular structure of the conduit was working against her attempts at fusion. The plasma scarring had created stress fractures that propagated faster than she could seal them. Yes, exactly, she said, kneeling to his level. The metal is fighting itself. How would you fix it? Threx circled the shuttle like his predatory ancestors might circle prey, but his intent was entirely different. Kessa joined him, and the 2 cubs communicated in rapid-fire clicks too fast for the translator to catch. Then Threx did something unexpected. He pressed his small clawed hand against the conduit and began tapping, not randomly, but in a specific rhythm. Tap, tap, pause, tap, tap, tap. What are you doing? Valcor demanded, his voice rising in alarm. Wait, Arya said, holding up a hand. She'd seen something in her peripheral vision. The molecular scanner showed the stress fractures stabilizing with each tap. Threx, how did you know to do that? Mother sings to broken things, the cub replied simply. Makes them remember they are whole. It took Arya a moment to understand. The Vorkai communicated partly through vibration, and their warships used resonance dampeners to prevent structural damage during high-stress maneuvers. Threx wasn't just tapping. He was introducing counter-vibrations that neutralized the stress patterns in the metal. Valcor, run a harmonic analysis, Arya ordered, her mind already racing ahead. Match the frequency pattern of his taps. The Xanthari's objections died as his instruments showed him what Arya had intuited. Within minutes, they'd configured a standard vibration tool to replicate Threx's rhythm. The molecular welder, applied in sync with the harmonics, bonded the conduit perfectly. The repair that should have taken hours was complete in 20 minutes. Word spread through the fleet like wildfire. The human engineer and the predator cub had discovered something that challenged decades of established repair doctrine. Within days, engineering teams across half the fleet were experimenting with harmonic resonance techniques. What worked on shuttle conduits proved applicable to hull plating, energy relay nodes, and even damaged weapons arrays. Admiral Thorne herself came to the maintenance bay, her weathered face showing something rare, genuine surprise. Engineer Arya, I've reviewed the reports. Your technique has reduced average repair time by 37% across all implementing vessels. It wasn't my technique, Admiral, Arya said, placing a hand on Threx's shoulder. The cub stood straighter, his chest plates puffing with pride. Threx showed me that sometimes we're too focused on forcing solutions when we should be listening to what the problem tells us. The Admiral studied the young Vorkai with new appreciation. Commander Shrax must be proud. Mother says I still cannot go in restricted areas, Threx admitted, his translator managing to convey what might have been sheepishness. A rare smile crossed the Admiral's face. I'm issuing Threx and Kessa honorary junior engineering credentials. Consider this area no longer restricted to them. As the Admiral departed, Valcor approached Aria with something like respect in his multiple eyes. Perhaps standard protocol needs updating. Perhaps it does, Arya agreed. She looked down at Threx, who was already examining another piece of damaged equipment with that same intense focus. Sometimes the best solutions come from seeing problems the way a child sees them, without preconceptions about what should or shouldn't work. The repairs continued. But something had shifted in the fleet. Humans had earned their reputation in the galaxy through adaptability and lateral thinking, but this was different. This was the recognition that wisdom could come from unexpected sources, that a curious predator cub could revolutionize military engineering by sharing the simple lesson his mother had taught him. In the vast darkness of space, where rigidity often meant death, the Celestial Vanguard had learned to sing broken things back together. And half the fleet was learning the song.